levels of pollutants increased during odd-even. Study says emissions from increased fleet of exempt vehicles may have offset any reduction from cars. The fortnight-long odd-even policy, OEP, to check pollution in Delhi may have been counterproductive and may have exposed people to elevated levels, as much as 60%, of volatile organic compounds, VOCs, a key component of emissions from vehicles said to aggravate respiratory ailments, according to a multi-authored research study forthcoming in the peer-reviewed journal Current Science. Based on whether cars bore odd or even-numbered license plates, the Delhi government policy restricted passenger cars from plying between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. between January 1 and January 15, 2016, on Delhi roads in a bid to cut down pollution from vehicles during winter. The policy, however, posed no limits on movement of public transport, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, trucks and CNG-operated vehicles. The researchers measured the concentrations of 13 major chemicals, including toluene, benzene, methanol, acetone, all of which are grouped under volatile organic compounds. Spike in levels. The samples were taken in special glass jars, along the Indian Oil Corporation Limited arterial road near Dwarka. The report states that the stretch sees nearly 35,000 petrol and diesel vehicles ply at peak traffic hours. Pollutant concentrations spiked in the morning and afternoon but didn't show a significant change during the night, the authors note. For instance, the average mass concentration in morning samples collected between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. for all measured VOCs during the days of the OEP was 436.6 plus minus 161.5 microgram per cubic meter, out of which aromatic compounds contributed 256.0 plus minus 32.2 microgram per cubic meter. This was about 60% higher than the average of 269.2 plus minus 124.3 microgram per cubic meter, on days when odd-even wasn't implemented. In the afternoon, during the period, the average total mass concentration of VOCs was 256.0 plus minus 32.2 microgram per cubic meter, while that of the total aromatic compounds was 153.9 plus minus 23.5 microgram per cubic meter, which is about 40% higher compared to pollution levels seen during days when the policy wasn't in effect. Exempt vehicles. This suggests that the large number of personal vehicle users may have opted to commute before the traffic restrictions were put in place. Odd-even rule enforcement timings were 8 a.m. 8 p.m., say the authors in their report. There was an overall increase reported in the number of the vehicles that were exempt from the rule, such as motorized two-wheelers, three-wheelers, taxis and buses by 12% to 138%. The emissions from the increased fleet of exempt vehicles therefore appear to have offset the reduction of emissions accomplished by controlling personal four-wheeler vehicles, cars. Statistics from the Transport Ministry shows that Delhi has the highest number of personal vehicles in India, with a total registered fleet of 2.9 million cars and 6.1 million two-wheeler motor vehicles, which alone contributed to 93% of total registered vehicles, about 9.7 million. From 2011 onwards, every year on an average, around 1,50,000 cars and 3,000,000 two-wheelers are being registered. However, several studies that have studied the sources of pollution in Delhi have blamed road dust and the burning of biomass, with vehicular emissions said to be the third major source of pollution. A love story crosses state border. Transmen, lover flee to Kerala fearing hostility in Chennai. Gender is not a word that comes often into conversations. But Nazrin Banu and Nazir Muhammad are acutely aware of the role that gender has played in their current plight. facing opposition and harassment from Nazrin's family for her relationship with Nazir, a trans man. Both of them decided to flee to Kerala from their hometown, Chennai. Sitting at the office of the Oasis Cultural Society, a collective of transgender people in Thiruvananthapuram, which has given them shelter, the couple recounted the troubles that they had to go through. I had taught Nazir's younger brother at a local institution. At that time, Nazir was still identified as a woman, although he had some characteristics of a man. We were friends initially. Then one of my professors warned me against speaking to him. She informed my parents too. That was when it all started. The opposition from the family and society further brought us together. Slowly, he began to identify himself as a man and we also fell in love, says 21-year-old Nazrin, who is now pursuing her B.Ed. in special education. Nazir, 23, who had a job with a private company, had to soon leave that job, facing taunts from colleagues, after he identified himself as a man. He later got a temporary job in a restaurant. I was branded as a prostitute by her family. They came to the street in which my family lives and spread stories about me. Then they filed a case against me, says Nazir. Nazrin had by then left her home to stay at a hostel, after being pressurized by her family to get married. Harassment case later, she approached the police and filed a case against her family accusing them of harassment. Having heard about the support system for transgender people in Kerala, they decided to shift to the state temporarily until the issues back home settles down. Here, they got in touch with the activists of Oasis, who are planning to approach the State Human Rights Commission with the matter. My family's problem is that I am in a relationship with a transgender person. Why shouldn't I be? They too have emotions like everyone else. They too are humans, says Nazreen.
Yeah.
Army cook impersonates lieutenant, arrested. Got married recently claiming to be an army officer. A cook in the army who was declared a deserter was arrested on Saturday for allegedly impersonating an army lieutenant, the police said on Sunday. Ghaziabad resident Dipankar Singh also got married recently claiming to be an army officer, the police added. Declared deserter. Mr. Singh was declared a deserter several years ago. Admitted to the army in 2006, he went home on leave a year later and never went back to his unit. He used to wear a lieutenant's uniform with paracommando badges to impress people around him and on social networking sites. He was arrested after an army man posted at an army clinic here got suspicious when he spotted the incorrect badges on Mr. Singh's uniform and alerted the police. Vipin Kumar, who was posted as the army clinic, spotted a man in a lieutenant's uniform in the clinic on February 26. He asked the accused, who introduced himself as Dipankar, a lieutenant posted in Udhampur, if he need any assistance. The accused asked for my mobile number and left the clinic. He called a few minutes later asking me to come outside. He was waiting in an SUV and told me that his sister will come to the army clinic to hand over some documents. He said he will collect the document after returning from Udhampur. A woman came to the clinic on February 28 and asked me to verify the documents. I got suspicious and refused to verify the documents, Mr. Kumar said in his complaint to the police. Suspicious, I followed the woman outside and spotted her getting into a car with the accused. I immediately informed my seniors. I made inquiries about a Dipankar in the para unit, but none of my colleagues knew a person with that name, said Mr. Kumar. The police said Mr. Singh called Mr. Kumar on March 7 claiming that his friend, who was on the way to Chandigarh, had lost her bags and urgently needed 15,000. The accused told him to deposit the amount in her account immediately. Mr. Kumar asked him to send someone to the army clinic as he would not be able to go to the bank to deposit the money. A few minutes later, two men turned up asking for the money. He immediately informed his seniors and the two men were held at the army clinic. Mr. Kumar then informed the police. Mr. Singh has been booked under relevant sections of the Indian Penal Code at South Avenue Police Station. The two men who had gone to collect the money are his brothers-in-law and were unaware that he is not an army officer. The woman seen with him in the car is a paramedical student, also under the impression that he was an army officer. A probe is on to determine whether there are more victims, said a police officer. Artifacts of pre-Iron Age found in Odisha. A discovery in Jalalpur includes stone tools. Pottery's Archaeological Survey of India, which has been excavating a mound at Jalalpur village of Odisha's Cuttack district, has now come across stone and bone tools believed to be of early Iron Age. That discovery includes faunal remains, carbonized grains and stone and bone tools of early Iron Age to prehistoric period. Interestingly, we have found continuity in different periods, said D.B. Garnayak, superintending archaeologist of a SIS excavation branch in Bhubaneswar, on Monday. Yellow and dark gray colors oil noticed during the excavation signifies the rural settlement flourished in different era. Circular wall, semicircular wall, crescent-shaped wall and mud platforms of different size and shape have been discovered, said Dr. Garnayak. Following fresh discovery, the ASA has now proposed to involve scientists from Institute of Physics in Bhubaneswar and reputed geologists to study the tools. Recently, teeth of 3 types of sharks, stone tools were unearthed from the site. Among the artifacts retrieved from the site include red ware, red slipped ware, gray and black wares, pots of different shapes, bowls, bowl stand, ring-based bowls, miniature pots, storage jars, pots. Similarly, important antiquities retrieved from the site are polished stone axes and adzes, bone points, terracotta sling balls, terracotta wheel, beads of carnelian, and sandstone, hopscotch, barb bone point, bone drill, bone arrowhead, bone spearhead, stylus and needle made of antler, bone borer cum side scraper and bone spatula. Meanwhile, a team from the Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, INTACH, led by the state convener A.B. Tripathi visited the excavation site in the Prae Valley being done by ASA. They said the ASA excavation would throw more light on the old civilization. Award for the Hindu scribe. The Hindu's Suhasini Haidar was among the winners of Dalai Hadi Award, conferred by the Maharana of Mewar Charitable Foundation, MCF, at Udaipur's Manex Chowk. The awardees included former head of the Konkan Railway and Delhi Metro Project, E. Sridharan, American scholar on India's Bhakti movement John Stratton Hawley, and 2 men who saved the Amarnath pilgrims on a bus during a terrorist attack last year, bus driver Salim Sheikh and attendant Harsh Desai. Ms. Haidar, the diplomatic editor of The Hindu, received the Dalai Hadi Award, given for initiating an awakening in society through the medium of journalism covering conflict and international relations, from Maharana Arvind Singh Mewar, descendant of the former royal family of Udaipur. Previous recipients of the award are co-chair of the Hindu group Dr. Malini Parthasarity, India Today managing editor Rahul Kanwal and columnist Tavleen Singh. Speaking at the event, attended by more than 2,000 people, Ms. Haidar said that the struggle for journalism in the age of the internet was not against those who criticize journalists, but against those who believe journalism is redundant and unnecessary. It is necessary to tell those that think journalists should simply reproduce statements without probing the truth or giving context that the media must be a mirror to society that shows all aspects of a story including unfavorable or unflattering ones, she said. Catholic Church claims attack on hospital, landowner claims removed encroachment. Carrying a JCB, the group damaged the hospital gate, a generator, and disrupted electric and water supply, striking fear among patients and staff, alleged PRO of Catholic Church in Madhya Pradesh Father Maria Stephen. A missionary hospital in Jain was allegedly attacked by a group of locals led by BJP activists on Monday following a dispute over a piece of land, which both sides claim belonged to them. Carrying a JCB, the group damaged the hospital gate, a generator, and disrupted electric and water supply, striking fear among patients and staff, alleged PRO of Catholic Church in Madhya Pradesh Father Maria Stephen. He said nurses who tried to stop the attackers were harmed and beaten up. He said nearly 100 people pulled down the compound wall and put up an iron fencing inside the hospital premises. Though several police personnel passed by, no one intervened and the attack continued unabated. The hospital came up in 1974 when there were no healthcare facilities in villages. Sisters and doctors went to nearby villages and conducted many camps and supplied free medicines. BJP MP from Jain and party spokesman Chintamani Malviya, however, alleged that the hospital had encroached on a private person's land. He said the minority community lost in both High Court and the lower court, after which the landowner demolished the unauthorized construction on Monday. He denied that the owner or his men attacked nurses, claiming that no one was required to enter the hospital premises. He claimed even after losing the court cases, the hospital was not ready to vacate the encroachment. He said the district administration had recently marked out areas owned by both parties. A delegation led by Bishop of Jain called on Governor Anand Patel, who was in the town for a scheduled visit. The entire Catholic Church is shocked to know about the planned attack. Minorities feel unsafe in the midst of repeated attacks on church personnel and Christian institutions. Archbishop of Bhopal Leo Cornelio strongly condemned an alleged attack on Pushpa Mission Hospital, Jain, calling it a systematic planning to create disturbance and violence. Chief Sesi Assault advisor to Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal resigns after being questioned. VK Jain, the advisor to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, has resigned citing personal reasons and family commitments, days after he was questioned by police in connection with the alleged assault on Chief Secretary Anshu Prakash, sources said today. Jain has resigned from the post of advisor to the Delhi Chief Minister citing personal reasons and family commitment, one of the sources told PTI. He has submitted his resignation letter in the Chief Minister's office, CMO, and sent a copy to the Lieutenant Governor, the source added. He was appointed to the post in September last year, days after he had retired as the CEO of the Delhi Urban Shelter Improvement Board, DUSIB. The board is chaired by Kejriwal. Jain had not been coming to the CMO since the incident and had gone on a week-long medical leave, the sources said. Prakash was allegedly assaulted by MLAs during a meeting at the Chief Minister's residence in the evening of February 19. The Delhi police had last week told a court that during interrogation, Jain disclosed that MLAs Prakash Jaiwal and Manijula Khan surrounded the chief secretary and saw them assaulting him at Kejriwal's residence. However, Jain had earlier said that he did not see anything as he had gone to the washroom at the time of the incident. The alleged assault on Prakash took place in the presence of Kejriwal and his deputy Manish Sisodia. In solidarity with Prakash, IASM Delhi, Andaman and Nicobar Island Civil Services, DCS, officers have not been attending meetings with AP ministers, and only maintaining written communication with them. The joint forum of the Delhi government employees has demanded action against Kejriwal and Sisodia in connection with the case. Congress to plan 2019 alliances. In the upcoming plenary session, the first since Rahul Gandhi took the party's stewardship, the Congress is expected to lay down the roadmap for alliance in 2019 elections in its political resolution. The three-day plenary session is going to be held in New Delhi from March 16 to 18. A senior Congress leader said, "The Congress is keen to upstage the BJP from the center and will deliberate all the scenarios in detail during the plenary session. Inputs will be taken from all district presidents and even from the block level on all important subjects while drafting final resolutions. The political resolution will be specifically dealt in detail to help chart the future course leading to elections," said the leader. The session will also take stock of the party's preparations in the coming assembly elections in Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh to evolve and fine-tune its strategy. Congress sources said the party will also discuss agrarian crisis and farmers' mounting problems in detail to decide on its strategy of intervention and to provide succor. Congress President Rahul Gandhi had constituted an organizing committee, a drafting committee and its 4 subgroups, and a Constitution Amendment Committee last month. The Constitution Amendment Committee has senior party leaders Ghulam Nabi Azad and Janardhan Dwivedi as its chairman and convener respectively, with 10 other senior leaders, including Ahmed Patel, P. Chidambaram, Mallikarjun Kharge and Kapil Sibal, as its members. The drafting committee has 44 other senior party leaders as its members. It also has 4 subgroups on political, economic affairs, international affairs and agriculture and employment. Wailak Antony is the chairman of the political subgroup and Suljit's convener. Chidambaram is the chairman of the economic affairs subgroup with Jairam Ramesh as its convener. Anand Sharma is heading the international affairs subgroup with Jyotiraditya Scindia as its convener. Former Haryana Chief Minister Bhupinder Singh Hooda is the chairman of the subgroup on agriculture, employment and poverty alleviation, with Meenakshi Natarajan as convener. Dalai Lama at Science Congress? Manipur University website says he will be one of the chief guests at the event. Days after Cabinet Secretary P.K. Sinha sent a note asking senior government officials to stay away from functions celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Dalai Lama's escape to India, the Tibetan leader has been invited to be among the chief guests at the Indian Science Congress to be held at Manipur University in Imphal from March 16 to 20. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to deliver the keynote address at the event. A website maintained by the university giving the program schedule of the Science Congress said the Dalai Lama, Mohammedanes, a winner of the Economics Nobel, and Hiroshi Amano, who is among the physicists awarded the Nobel Prize in 2014, are among the Nobel laureates invited to the event. In previous years and keeping with tradition, the Prime Minister felicitates every Nobel laureate with a medal during the inaugural function. The Indian Science Congress is usually held every January and, since the days of Jawaharlal Nehru, is the first public event addressed by the Prime Minister in the year. This year, for the first time in its 105-year history, the Congress had to be moved from its original venue at Osmania University in Hyderabad because of fears of a student agitation. An official of the Indian Science Congress Association, Gangaram, said though the Tibetan religious leader had been invited he was not sure of the leader's presence. He referred the Hindu to the Congress local organizing secretary, Arun Kumar. Neither Mr. Kumar nor Indian Science Congress Association President Akuta Samanta responded to repeated calls and text messages. Tibetan sources told the Hindu that they were unaware of the meeting of the Nobel laureates in Manipur University. In the aftermath of the Indian government's communique earlier this month, the Tibetan community has cancelled several events to mark the Dalai Lama anniversary or postponed them to places outside of Delhi. However, the Indian government has maintained that its position on the religious leader is unchanged. He is a revered religious leader and is deeply respected by the people of India. There is no change in that position. His Holiness is accorded all freedom to carry out his religious activities in India, ministry spokesperson Ravesh Kumar had earlier told The Hindu. Debris waste find usage in Baikal Zoo. Debris from a construction site will now be put to good use. Huge rocks being removed from a construction site near the Virmatajibai VJB Zoo, which would have otherwise been crushed, will now be used in an animal enclosure. Speaking to DNA, Dr. Sanjay Tripathi, director, VJB Zoo, said that when the construction work began, they found that several old rocks were being removed during excavation and piling. We immediately thought about using them inside our enclosures for various animals such as the ones for the lion, the tiger, and the leopards, instead of creating artificial ones. These rocks will give the enclosures a natural feel, too, he said. He added that several of these rocks have been kept near the bandstand area and the zoo and will be put to use when the work on revamping the enclosures begin. Another senior zoo official informed it might even help save some cost, as getting artificial stones made is an expensive affair. In fact, few months ago, just after work had begun, some of our proposed the idea to pyramidal staff who are carrying out the construction work. They said they were glad to help and even transported the stone to the zoo, said the official. The proposed Rs 120 crore VJB zoo makeover has been in a limbo. As per officials, 17 animal enclosures need to be built to house mammals like the Asiatic lion, tigers, leopards, sloth bear, jackal, swamp deer, otters, among others. The tender has been constantly delayed due to various controversies, leaving the zoo with only old animals. The only big attraction now happens to be the penguins. Delhi sees 0 vector-borne diseases cases in March. Only 3 cases of chikungunya have been reported by the various MCDs in the capital in 2018 as compared to last year where 46 cases were reported by March. No cases of malaria and dengue have been reported in March, confirms the report, while the total number of cases this year is 2 and 9, respectively. While the vector-borne diseases spiked during the months between May and October, there were still a significant number of cases in the first quarter last year, where 10 cases were reported for malaria and 12 of dengue. No cases of any of the diseases were reported in March. With the change in the weather, the viral fevers, however, are on a spike. Many people are falling sick of viral fevers, thus leading to increased visits to the hospitals. Doctors say the viral illnesses, which are generally short-lived, are taking longer to subside. In many cases, they don't go away with the usual dose of medications. With the gradual increase in the temperature, we are seeing more cases of viral fevers. People are falling sick due to the bad throat and sudden shivers, says Dr. S.P. Biatra, head of medicine, Sir Gangaram Hospital. Dowager bird attracts birdwatchers at Bandup Pumping Station. The Bandup Pumping Station has since passed to become the center of attraction for the birding community, who have been anxious to catch a glimpse of the long-billed dowager, a vagrant bird originally from North America. The dowager has been sighted nearly 15 times so far in India. The dowager is considered to be a shy, voracious feeder, with a straight long beak almost the size of its body. It was first sighted in Mumbai sometime around 24 February this year in Thane Creek and was sighted till Sunday. However, on Monday morning, birdwatchers were unable to spot it. According to experts, the dowager is likely to begin its journey towards the Arctic soon. This is its second recorded sighting in Maharashtra, and the bird, which can be easily mistaken for a godwit, is mostly an inland bird. But in Mumbai it has been spotted along the shore, feeding on worms and small crustaceans. We also noticed that it's getting its breeding plumage as there is a distinctive color change, said avid birdwatcher Radesh Shiv, who has already made a couple of trips. He sighted the bird on Sunday along with some 100 birdwatchers. According to Shiv, the sighting of such vagrant birds gives an adrenaline rush to the birding community and also helps generate good revenue source for locals like the fishing community, which took birders for a boat ride in the creek. Almost 80% of birders from Mumbai have seen the long-billed dowager, and it includes some international birders too who were around Mumbai and made a beeline for Banda pumping station, he added. Akshay Shind, a birding enthusiast, said that the bird was not being spotted regularly and many birders had to return disappointed. Last year very few people got to see it, but this despite it playing hide and seek with birders a lot. Many saw this bird. Earlier many such rare birds would go unnoticed, but thanks to the rise in number of serious birdwatchers and good cameras, many of these vagrant birds are easily spotted, reported and confirmed, be it the red-breasted merganser, whose first sighting in India was reported from Vasai in 2016, or the grey-headed lapwing sikh, he said. Long-billed dowager. The first confirmed sighting was from the Keoladeo National Park in Bharatpur, Rajasthan in 1997 by Paul Holt. Farmers celebrate when first time we have something on paper. The government has looted and exploited our earlier generations, and the farm loan waiver is a loot wapazi. We are getting the first installment of it, said Ajit Nawal, State General Secretary of the All India Kisan Sabha, addressing the people at Azad Maidan. The mood at Azad Maidan was triumphant on Monday evening as leaders read out, point by point, assurances that the state government made, in writing, to a delegation of the All India Kisan Sabha. The first announcement read out was that the government has agreed to clear pending appeals regarding applications for titles to forest land and would conduct remeasurement of land where farmers have appealed against not getting their complete entitlement as per the Forest Rights Act, 2006. A huge cheer went up immediately. Kakram Walkure from Ashu Adi village in Dendori, Nashik district, said the decision was positive. I tell 4 acres of land, but it is not in my name. Now, a decision has been taken and the matter will be sorted out in 6 months, said Malakar, a 57-year-old farmer, a satisfied smile on his face. Malakar, in fact, felt that while the government might even delay promises made on the farm loan waiver, the presence of thousands of tribals in the protest would ensure that the issue of transferring forest land to the names of traditional tillers would be resolved as promised. A good decision has been taken on the forest land. What is more important is that the government has given the assurances in writing. I have taken part in several protests, but this is the first time that we have got something on paper, said Tramu Boi, a 40-year-old farmer from Hatti village in Surgana, Nashik district. The farmers' leaders repeatedly emphasized that the state government had given all its assurances in writing, and also that the assurances would be tabled on the floor of the state legislature on Tuesday. Soon after the leaders read out the assurances, several protesters began to move towards jeeps parked in a corner of the ground while others waited to check on what other travel arrangements were available to return home. The government has looted and exploited our earlier generations, and the farm loan waiver is a loot wapazi. "We are getting the first installment of it," said Ajit Nawal, State General Secretary of the All India Kisan Sabha, addressing the people at Azad Maidan. Earlier, Sitaram Yechuri, General Secretary of CPIM, also addressed the farmers at the Azad Maidan and slammed Prime Minister Narendra Modi for not taking action against corporates who are looting the country. "We will continue our fight until we manage to stop farmers' suicides. While the government is giving waiver to corporates, it is refusing the same to farmers," said Yechuri. Meanwhile, the Maharashtra State Road Transport Corporation, MSTRC, reserved additional buses from Azad Maidan and Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus, CSMT, to ferry the farmers home. 2 of the buses were completely reserved for their commute. "We would provide additional buses if need be," a senior MSRCTC official said, adding that an additional 15 buses would be provided from Kasara station. Also, 6 best buses that usually ply from the Brihan-Mumbai Municipal Corporation (BMC) office at CSMT were diverted on DN Road. The Central Railway arranged 2 special trains on Monday evening to ferry farmers from CSMT to Bhusawal in Jaljan. Officials said an additional coach was also provided in the Panchavati Express, Howrah Mail and Vadodara Shirdi Express to facilitate their return from Mumbai. Former RS member Begum Hamidah dies at 101. She was the founder of SUWA, Self-Employed Women's Association, which promoted self-employment for women and the art of Lucknow's famous Chikankari. Begum Hamidah Habibullah, a former Rajya Sabha member and a pioneer in women empowerment, died here on Tuesday. Miss Habibullah was the daughter of Nawab Nazir Young Bahadur, Chief Justice of Hyderabad High Court and wife of Major General Anaith Habibullah, who went on to become the first Commandant of the National Defence Academy. Her grandson Saif Habibullah announced the news of her demise through his Facebook account. Born on November 20, 1916, Miss Hamidah was 30 when India achieved independence and was a witness to modern India's political history, stretching from the British rule to the bloody partition. She witnessed the building of new nation, glory days of the Congress Party and its subsequent decline to the present domination by the BJP. Her son, Wajahat Habibullah, was India's first Chief Information Commissioner of India and former Chairman, National Minority Commission. Miss Habibullah was known for working on women issues. She was the founder of SUWA, Self-Employed Women's Association, which promoted self-employment for women and the art of Lucknow's famous Chikankari, thread embroidery. She joined politics with the Congress after her husband returned from the army in 1965 and went on to become an MLA from Upsahedgar seat and Barabanki from 1969 to 1974. From 1971 to 1973, she was a Minister of State in the UP government and a Rajya Sabha member from 1976 to 1982. She held the Social and Harijan Welfare, National Integration and Civil Defence, and Tourism Ministries. Miss Hamidah passed senior Cambridge with distinction in 5 subjects before going on to get a gold medal in BA from Osmania University. Heritage program draws art, music lovers. It aims at reinforcing the principle of tourism for all. The Classical Heritage Series weekend program being organized by the Union Ministry of Tourism and Spiknake at Fort Kochi attracted aficionados of music and traditional arts. The weekend program is organized by the Tourism Ministry with the objective of promoting tourism at heritage sites. The program began on Saturday with performances by sitar exponent Ustad Shujat and Hindustani vocalist Bidushi Shabd Mughal at Bastion Bungalow in Fort Kochi. The program aims at reinforcing the principle of tourism for all, according to a press release. A Naga choir from Nagaland and Thayam held the audience in thrall on Sunday. Formed in 2009, the choir predominantly consists of various tribes of Nagaland. The members of the choir undertake choral and music education programs at a number of institutions and churches and have had the special privilege of performing for a record 3 consecutive years for the President of India at the Rashtrapati Bhavan and for the Prime Minister and other heads of state, according to the release. While Hindustani vocalist Begum Parveen Sultana and saxophone exponent Kadri Gopalnath will perform on March 17. Assam's by dance by Ranjit Gogoi team and Kawali performance by Warsi Brothers will be held on March 18. How the fashionable 6th Nizam helped in the evolution of the Sherwani. The Sherwani that Mahbub Ali Khan wore evolved from the Aitken with elements from Edwardian and Victorian frock coat. It is a known fact that the 6th Nizam Mahbub Ali Khan had a taste for the good things in life. Visitors to the Nizam's museum in Perkin Havli area of Hyderabad are stunned to see the walk-in wardrobe that appears endless. "He never repeated a dress," is the whispered word. But new research has spotlighted his role in the evolution of the Sherwani, which is now the dress of choice during weddings and is preferred by the political class during ceremonial occasions. Former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru even used the Sherwani as a style statement during his visits to various foreign countries and events in India. Soldiers of the Pakistani army are allowed to wear it for various events. But it was on January 24, 1893, perhaps at 4 p.m., that the world got its first memorable glimpse of the Sherwani when Mahbub Ali Khan wore it and sat down with Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, then travelling in India, for a post-lunch photograph by the team of Rajaddin at Taj Mahal Palace. History was made. According to a PhD thesis by Tulika Gupta, the photograph is the first evidence of Sherwani being used as it evolved from Aitken. The Aitken itself evolved from a garment called Angrakal with the addition of buttons which were a European novelty. The Lucknow historian Abdul Halim Sharar, who spent a few years in Hyderabad tutoring the sons of a Paiga nobleman, wrote about the evolution. The Aitken was extremely popular and the style started to find its way from the town to the villages. In a very short time it was worn throughout India. In Hyderabad, it developed, with a few alterations, into the Sherwani. Its sleeves were made like those of an English coat, the adornments over the chest were discarded and for the lower part the shape of an English overcoat was adopted. It became so popular everywhere, including Lucknow, that it is now the national dress of all Hindus and Muslims in India. While the Aitken is the gift of the nobility from Lucknow, Hyderabad can lay claim on the ownership of the Sherwani. The Sherwani was a gradual evolution of Angarika, which had laces on either the right or left shoulder to tie up the flaps. A similar garment would be a women's kurti with the cut not in the middle but across the right or left shoulder. But the Sherwani revolution happened when the buttons moved to the center and the oriental dress appeared like a version of frock coat which was popular during Edwardian and Victorian years in England. One only has to think of Darcy and Bingley in Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice for the frock coat. Some of the more popular illustrations were done by Hugh Thompson in 1894. The 28-year-old Nizam, who was a fashionista, naturally adapted the trend, though Archduke Ferdinand remarks, "He always wears European dress, most of the times he is in a black frock coat and the only native piece preserved in his costume is a turban-like cap made out of yellow cloth with a golden tassel. He never takes off this headdress." But for casual events, the Nizam knew the comfort factor in Indian clothes. It was just perfect that it was in a kingdom where the British mingled with Indians with the absolute freedom that the Sherwani evolved. I expressed regret if my words hurt anyone, under fire Naresh Agrawal about his Jai Bat Jayab action. Under fire. Naresh Agrawal, who joined BJP on Monday, expressed regret for his sexist jibe at Jayab action. When quizzed by journalists on Tuesday, Agrawal, who has a history of making controversial comments, said, "I expressed regret if my words hurt anyone." Agrawal's statement is aimed at trying to put a lid on the brewing political controversy. Former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav on Tuesday condemned newly inducted Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP) member Naresh Agrawal's statement directed at veteran actor and Samajwadi Party (SP) candidate Jayab Akshan. Samajwadi Party (SP) President Yadav took to Twitter and said that such derogatory remark is an insult for not only to Bollywood fraternity but also to all women in the country. Yadav also demanded the BJP to take immediate and strict action against Agrawal for his remark, if the party respects women. Yadav also urged the Women Commission to take cognizance in this matter. "I condemned the derogatory statement by BJP leader Naresh Agrawal on Jayab action. This is an insult to all women in the country along with the Bollywood fraternity. If the BJP actually respects the women, then they should take immediate and strict action against him. Women Commission also should take action in this," Yadav tweeted. In his initiation ceremony at the BJP headquarters here, Naresh Agrawal yesterday said that he was humiliated by the SP as he lost the Rajya Sabha election ticket to Jayab Akshan. "My status was reduced to that of a film actor. Because of her, the ticket was not given to me, which I did not find right," he said. His statement created a political storm, with BJP spokesperson immediately clarifying it is not party's stance and they respect people from all profession. Sushma Swaraj also took to Twitter to condemn Naresh Agrawal's statement. India commits $1.4 billion for solar energy worldwide. PM announces largest ever funding at International Solar Alliance meet. India on Sunday announced one of the world's largest investment plans in solar energy at the founding conference of the International Solar Alliance, ISA. The $1.4 billion line of credit will cover 27 projects in 15 countries and boost the much required financial power to the solar sector. India will provide assistance to 15 countries for $1.4 billion. "I am happy to announce that to fill the gap of solar technology, India will start a solar technology mission with international focus, which will cover all government technical and educational institutions," Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, announcing the unprecedented investment 10-point plan. The founding conference was co-chaired by Mr. Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron. Mr. Modi presented a 10-point action plan aimed at making solar power more affordable while raising the share of power generated. "We have to increase the share of solar in the energy mix," Mr. Modi said. The solar energy sector, facing a challenge of funding, received considerable support at the conference. Mr. Macron, while pointing to the withdrawal of the US from the Paris Agreement on climate change, praised those who stayed the course to support the solar power on a global scale. France was committed to providing an additional €700 million in loans and support by 2022 to emerging economies for solar energy projects, he said. "We know the hurdles. There are financial hurdles, regulations, capacity hurdles as well. We shall, therefore, lift every single one of them," the French president said, adding, "It is not enough to look at what governments are doing. We need a new international deal with the private sector, the international public sector and civil society as well." Mr. Macron is heading to Mirzapur, where he will inaugurate a 100-megawatt solar power project on Monday. Mr. Macron identified 3 issues to be addressed: the solar energy potential in each country should be identified, mobilization of finance, and the provision of a favorable framework. He said the member countries of the ISA would ensure distribution of finance and expertise. The conference was attended by 23 heads of states and governments from all over the world, including Mr. Modi and Mr. Macron. 6 vice presidents and deputy prime ministers and 19 ministers, corporations and civil society representatives participated in the mega conference. IndiGo cancels 47 flights today after DGCA grounds planes with faulty engines. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, cracked the whip after an IndiGo flight bound for Lucknow returned to Ahmedabad within 40 minutes of its getting airborne due to a mid-air engine failure on Monday. Budget carrier IndiGo cancelled as many as 47 flights on Tuesday after the country's aviation regulator DGCA grounded its 8 A320neo planes with faulty Pratt & Whitney engines, along with 3 such aircraft of Go Air. IndiGo has cancelled 47 flights across its domestic network on March 13, the airline announced on its website. The flights that have been cancelled are from Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Patna, Srinagar, Bhubaneswar, Amritsar, Srinagar and Guwahati, among others. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, cracked the whip after an IndiGo flight bound for Lucknow returned to Ahmedabad within 40 minutes of its getting airborne due to a mid-air engine failure on Monday. Citing safety of aircraft operations, the director of the DGCA, in the March 12 order, said that A320neos fitted with PW1100 engines beyond ES and 450 have been grounded with immediate effect. 3 other IndiGo A320neo planes have been on the ground since February following similar engine problems. On Monday, hundreds of passengers were stranded across the country as dozens of flights were cancelled by IndiGo and Go Air following the grounding of 11 planes. IndiGo operates about 1,000 flights daily. IndiGo carries about 40% of domestic flyers, while Go Air has a market share of around 10%. Last chance for GOV to fulfill its promises to farmers, Shiv Sena. Those in the government sitting idle over the issue of farmers' stir suddenly became sensitive to their demands, and those who could not hear the anger of farmers till now became positive to their demands, the Sena said, taunting the Devendra Fadnavis government. Farmers have given the Maharashtra government a last chance to fulfill the promises made to them, the Shiv Sena said today, dubbing their march to Mumbai a slap on the face of the BJP-led dispensation. Facing the heat from the opposition and ally Shiv Sena, the state government yesterday accepted the agitating farmers' demands, including their right to till forest land. The over 35,000 farmers, who had trekked 180 kilometers over 6 days from Nashik to here, subsequently called off their stir that had turned Mumbai into a sea of red flags. Another jolt from farmers has straightened this government. It had no option other than to accept the demands of the protesters, the Sena said in an editorial in its party mouthpiece Amana. Those in the government sitting idle over the issue of farmers' stir suddenly became sensitive to their demands, and those who could not hear the anger of farmers till now became positive to their demands, the Sena said, taunting the Devendra Fadnavis government. The effect of the farmers' agitation was so strong that the government had to give in writing that all their demands would be fulfilled. The government will forever remember the slap on its face by farmers, and nobody in future will try to spoil the lives of laborers, it said. Lashing out at the government, the Sena said those who came to power using the name of Chhatrapati Shivaji had merely made announcements in the past 3.5 years and forced people to walk for hundreds of kilometers to demand justice. This is the last chance given by farmers to this government. It has to fulfill the written assurances given to farmers, the Sena, an ally of the ruling BJP in Maharashtra and at the centre, said. The farmers walked from Nashik to Mumbai under the banner of the Akhil Bharatiya Kisan Sabha, AKES, of the CPIM with a slew of demands, including their right to till forest land and a complete loan waiver. 9 senior state ministers, Chandrakant Patel, Girish Mahajan and Eenath Shinde, met the farmers at the Azad Maidan in South Mumbai yesterday and announced the government's decision to accept their demands. Lok Sabha proceedings disrupted again. Amid the bedlam, Sumitra Mahajan adjourned the House for nearly 1 hour till 12 noon. The House has been witnessing frequent disruptions since March 5, when the second leg of the budget session of Parliament began. The proceedings of the Lok Sabha this morning were disrupted for the 7th consecutive day Tuesday as various parties continued with their protests on several issues, including the PNB scam. As soon as Speaker Sumitra Mahajan took up the question hour, members from various parties, including the Congress, AIADM, TDP and TRS trooped into the well raising slogans and holding placards. Most of them were heard shouting, "We want justice." Congress members were holding placards demanding that tainted diamond merchant Nirav Modi be brought back. Chota Modi Kahan Gaya, read one of the placards. TDP members were holding placards which read "Follow Alliance Dharma." Some members from the left parties, while standing at their seats, were holding some photographs. Amid the bedlam, Sumitra Mahajan adjourned the House for nearly 1 hour till 12 noon. The House has been witnessing frequent disruptions since March 5, when the second leg of the budget session of Parliament began. After the proceedings were adjourned, TDP and TRS members were seen talking to Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari and Parliamentary Minister Anant Kumar. Majlis Park Shivahar corridor to be operational by June. 21.56 km section of Pink Line be inaugurated on Wednesday. Trilakpuri Mayor Vihar Phase I stretch may be delayed due to land acquisition issues at Trilakpuri. Barring the 21.56 km Majlis Park Durgabadi Shmuck South Campus section, which will be inaugurated on Wednesday, the remaining stretch on the 59 km long Pink Line or the Majlis Park Shivahar corridor will be made operational by June this year, a Delhi Metro Railway Corporation, DMRC, official said on Monday. The line is expected to be opened in stages by June this year, except the stretch between Trilakpuri and Mayor Vihar Phase I due to land acquisition issues at Trilakpuri, added the official. The Majlis Park Shivahar corridor is part of Phase 3 project. Commute in 40 minutes. The 21.56 km Majlis Park Durgabadi Shmuck South Campus stretch will connect North and South campuses of Delhi University with a travel time of about 40 minutes, the official said. The two campuses are now connected on the metro network for the first time. It will help in cutting travel time for commuters and will hugely benefit students, who took the road till now, added the official. This line will be Delhi Metro's second corridor to be operated using communication-based train control, CBTC, signaling technology, which facilitates movement of trains with a frequency of 90 seconds to 100 seconds. Later, it will be driverless, said Danish Dill, Executive Director, Corporate Communications, DMRC. This stretch will have 12 stations, including 4 interchange stations at Treasury Garden, with Blue Line, Azadpur, with Yellow Line, Netaji Subhash Place, with Red Line, and at Dalai, where the Pink Line will connect with the Airport Line Metro. The new line also boasts travelators at Treasury Garden and Durgabadi Schmuck South Campus metro stations to facilitate easier interchange between the lines. The interchange to Airport Line Metro at Dalai will have a foot-over bridge connecting the 2 stations and is set to be operational by June, added the official. Crossing the Dalai Metro station at a height of 23.6 meters, the Pink Line at this juncture boasts the highest spot in the Delhi Metro network, as high as a 7-story building. With 8 of 12 stations at an elevated level, Pink Line will be to public from 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Plastic waste is climbing up the marine food chain. A new study of the feces of captive seals has shown that microplastics can travel high up the food chain and affect even the large predators of the oceans. Microplastics are ingested directly by the zooplankton, the lowest link in the food chain. The zooplankton is eaten by fish, and the microplastic finally reaches the seal, which consumes the fish. What are microplastics? Plastic pieces that are less than 5 mm in length are called microplastics. They can be formed by fragmentation of large plastic waste material. Microfibers from washing of textiles, microbeads used in cosmetics, and even paint from land runoffs can dump microplastics in the ocean. How are they harmful to the marine organisms? Various studies have shown that once ingested, microplastics can settle in the stomach and lead to reduction in feeding capacity of organisms. They can also be detrimental to the intestinal function and reproductive system. What did the new study on seal feces reveal? The new study published in Environmental Pollution showed the transfer of microplastics across different levels in the food chain. The researchers studied the microplastics in the digestive tract of Atlantic mackerel and later examined the feces of captive gray seals that feed on the fish. They found that approximately half of the feces samples and a third of the fish samples contained different types of microplastics. They also tested the pool water to make sure that the plastic in the seal poop was not caused by any other sources. A total of 12 different polymers were found from the fish and seal, ranging from 0.5 to 6 mm in length. Ethylene propylene used in paints, coatings, inks, was the most frequently found polymer, followed by polypropylene in bags and textiles. Our finding that microplastics can be passed from fish to marine top predators is something we've long thought was the case but, until now, lacked the evidence to back our theory up. We have shown that trophic transfer is an indirect, yet potentially major, route of microplastic ingestion for these predators, says Suriname's first author of the paper from a Plymouth Marine laboratory in a release. The report says that further work needs to be carried out to understand the impact of microplastic pollution on human health, as many seafood like shellfish are consumed as whole by humans and its effect is still unknown. Ravi Shankar Prasad, 5 others filed nomination from Bihar. Union Law and Justice and IT Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad was among the 6 politicians who filed their nomination for election to as many Rajya Sabha seats from Bihar on Monday. Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, nominee Prasad was accompanied by Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, his deputy Sushil Kumar Modi, state BJP President Nityanand Rai and a host of other state ministers and NDA leaders. Prasad, whose current Rajya Sabha term is ending in April, expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and BJP President Amit Shah for giving me this opportunity to serve the people once again. From the NDA camp, Ally Janata Dal, United, has also nominated 2 candidates, State J.D. President and sitting Rajya Sabha MP Bashishtanarajan Singh and senior leader Mahendra Prasad, both of whom filed their candidature papers along with BJP's Prast. As both alliances have fielded 3 candidates each for the 6 seats, polling is unlikely. Rashtriya Janata Dal, RJD, leaders Manoj Jha and Ashfaq Karim, whose names were declared by Bihar's leader of the opposition Tejaswi Yadav on Sunday evening, also threw their hat in the ring on Monday, the last day for filing the nomination. Jha is a professor at University of Delhi and also a national spokesperson of the RJD, while Karim is the owner of a medical college in Bihar and was earlier associated with a different political outfit. They filed their papers in the presence of RJD National Vice President Rabri Devi, State President Ramchandra Purbi and other party leaders. The final nomination was filed by Congress candidate Akhilesh Prasad Singh, who was a junior minister in UPI, representing RJD. Singh's nomination has brought the Congress under attack for fielding a Lalu loyalist. Former Congress MLC Ashok Chaudhary said it sent out the message that the party was functioning as RJD's B team. Sea of farmers in Mumbai, here's what they say. Having walked over 160 kilometers in 6 days, the men and women traversed their final 20 kilometers into central Mumbai even as the state government scrambled to prevent the embarrassment of a grow of the legislature as threatened by the CPI-M-affiliated All India Kisan Sabha. Through Sunday, the financial capital witnessed 40,000 farmers and tribals from across Maharashtra march slowly across the length of the city. Having walked over 160 kilometers in 6 days, the men and women traversed their final 20 kilometers into central Mumbai even as the state government scrambled to prevent the embarrassment of a grow of the legislature as threatened by the CPI-M-affiliated All India Kisan Sabha that has organized the long march. The farmers, including a very large number from tribal-dominated talukas in Nashik, Jain and Perkin, are demanding a loan waiver free of any conditions, implementation of the Forest Rights Act, fixed remunerative prices for agri-produce, and implementation of the recommendations of the Swaminathan Commission. As the Shiv Sena, Congress, MNS, and others extended support to the protesting farmers, Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis invited a delegation of farmer leaders for talks on Monday afternoon. Who are among the protesting 40,000? Radbai Kisan Gagand, 65 years old talk. The senior citizen from Dahivi village in Nashik's Tindori Tehsil has walked all 6 days. She is seeking transfer of a 1-acre plot of forest land that she has been tilling for 2 decades to her name. I spent my entire life working in others' fields. Now, I want the land to be transferred to our names, so that my grandchildren are able to get an education and have a better life, said Radhabai, who was a member of the Kisan Sabha, and had been among the 40,000 farmers who protested in Nashik city in March 2016. Hiraman Wagman, 46 years old talk. Hiraman tills 5 acres of forest land in Chikati village in Nashik's Suhana Tehsil. He is entirely dependent on a good monsoon. I don't have money for a well or a borehole. I also work as a farm laborer and get Rs 5,100 per day, he said. He hopes that once the forest land that his community has been tilling for decades is transferred to their names, he might be able to get the loan. Maybe then I can make some arrangements for irrigating the land. Rajaba Urathad, 42 years old talk. A farmer from Sirpimpri village in Parbhani district in the arid Marathwada region, Rathod was elated when the government announced the Rs 34,000 crore farm loan waiver, but his joy was short-lived. I had taken a crop loan of Rs 1.80 lakh in 2012, but couldn't repay it due to the drought years after that. My 3 acres of land is non-irrigated, and I have been unable to get any profit from farming, he said. He expected to be one of the beneficiaries of the loan waiver, and hoped that he would then be able to access a fresh loan for digging a well or a borehole. But my application for the waiver was rejected, said Rathod. He said he does not know why he was found ineligible. The bank had simply informed him his name is not on the list of beneficiaries. Ramraj Mohadik, 40 years old talk. A 40-year-old farmer from Mandvat village in Parbhani district of Marathwada, Mohadik is demanding compensation for his cotton crop damaged by a pink bollworm attack. My crop was hit very seriously. The yield fell from 10 quintals per acre to just 2-3 quintals per acre this year. From my 3 acres of land, I have been able to get only 12 quintals of cotton. The government announced it would compensate for the damaged crop, but no money has come yet, he said. Having heard that some villages in Parbhani were excluded from compensation, he said, "What's our fault? The state must give us compensation." Sunil Mohankar, 26 years old talk. This young tribal from Maghai village in Shahpur Tehsil, Jain, has come seeking transfer of forest land to his name and also seeking a government directive that water from the Tansa Dam in Shahpur, which currently supplies water to Mumbai, be used for farming. I have been tilling 10 acres of land, rice, tur and groundnuts. These are all seasonal crops, but we need to purchase water from others who have wells, he said. He is among several hundred farmers affected by the construction of the Tansa Dam. We are the affected farmers, and we ourselves are deprived of water, said Mohan, who joined the march as it passed through Shahpur. Krishna Harvate, 34 years old talk. A farmer from Talwata and Shahpur Tehsil and Jain district. Krishna says the state government should improve implementation of the Forest Rights Act, FRE, 2006. Though the act came in 2006 and the rules were made in 2008, the government is not implementing it effectively. While I have been tilling 8 acres of land, they are offering us only a few acres in our names, Harvate said. He said he and several others from Talwata had written to the district collector and others, and had come on the march as the last option. Ramdas Sutra, 39 years old talk. For this farmer from Kubal village in Dahandu, Palghar district, both key demands of the long march, the forest land issue and a total farm loan waiver, hit close to home. I have been tilling 10 acres of forest land, but the authorities have issued me a certificate for only 2 acres and 13 gunthas. Against this land, however, he managed to get a loan of Rs 49,000 in 2014, a sum that remains outstanding. He was ineligible for a loan waiver. I am eligible for 10 acres as per the law, and I should get that. Besides, my loan from the district central bank should be waived, he said. Sealing drive traders call for ban in national capital. With over 100 last rites processions, Shav Yatra, of the Sealing Drive scheduled, traders from across the capital have decided to go ahead with the proposed ban on Tuesday. Traders from posh market areas like Connaught Place to Asia's largest marketplace Sada, will be keeping their shops shut to register their protest against the ongoing sealing. The traders called for the ban after the Latha charge in old double-story area, resulting in severe injuries to a trader. Not even a single shop owner will open his shop in Delhi NCR on Tuesday. Every corner of the capital will remain shut, said Praveen Khandelwal, General Secretary, Confederation of All India Traders, CATE. Over 100 shops were sealed and the trader left severely injured after he was hit during Latha charge by the police in old double-story area. The traders in the area have decided to come on roads if their shops are not desealed and the sealing is not stopped. All this is the sheer example of how the monarchy works. The traders are being ripped of their income sources even when we, the residents, have zero issues with the market running in the colony. We will go on a hunger strike and the sealing has to stop, said Kendra Prakash Sharma, President, Resident Welfare Association, Old Double Story. The traders have been demanding some relief from the sealing drive, which has yielded zero results for them as of now. We have planned over 100 last right possessions of the sealing on Tuesday, as the sealed premises were not less than our family, and if necessary, we are ready to travel miles like farmers in Maharashtra did, said Vijay Jain, General Secretary, All India Traders Association. The traders have been asking for a bill in Parliament to stop the ongoing sealing after the Supreme Court ordered sealing of shops for misuse of premises. We accept that the illegal use of land must be stopped, but then the government must understand that it was their failure. Now, they can impose a reasonable amount of penalty and stop sealing drive, said Atal Bhargava, President, Connaught Place Market Association. Gov must consider the traders have been asking for a bill in Parliament to stop the ongoing sealing after the Supreme Court ordered sealing of shops for misuse of premises. We accept that the illegal use of land must be stopped, but then the government must understand that it was their failure. Now, they can impose a reasonable amount of penalty and stop sealing drive, said Atal Bhargava, President, Connaught Place Market Association. Sustaining trust. Twitter has purged many suspicious accounts, but it needs to do more. There are a few ways of getting followers on Twitter. If you are already popular offline, you just need to sign up and announce to the world that you are on Twitter. If you aren't, go the old-fashioned way of working hard as building a following, tweet regularly on topics of interest, and engage with the platform. You may succeed. There's one other way. All you need to do, as a recent investigation by the New York Times showed, is pay money to a marketplace for followers. You then get fake automated accounts to be your followers. It's easy. But you know it's a fraud. Many political leaders, movie stars, sports people, celebrities, and writers, whose fortunes are directly linked to their perceived status as influencers, seem to have taken this route, although they must have had an organic following in the first place. The follower factory, as the article's headline puts it, is an obscure American company called oddeven, which has, to date, provided its users with 200 million followers. And these are from the significantly smaller stock of 3.5 million automated accounts that it has created. oddeven surely isn't the only outfit peddling followers. Should we be surprised? Is this simply the desire in humans to appear bigger than they are, doing whatever it takes to get there? Tech, as usual, is an enabler. In more practical terms, this is what happens when someone decides to game a system, especially one that's influential. Twitter is that platform which has been consistently punching above its weight on matters of influence, doing what it is with a user base of just 330 million in an age where billion-plus seems to be the magic mark. The de facto newsbreaker that it is, Twitter sees active participation by news organizations, and therefore what happens here is amplified everywhere else. So, it pays to be seen as having influence here. Despite all its clout, the social network made its first-ever quarterly profit only recently. Analysts, who credit the profit primarily to smart cost measures, are concerned that it isn't adding enough users. Ironically, at a time when it ought to be looking to boost its user numbers, it has been forced to look at booting out the fake ones in its midst. This has also come close on the heels of Twitter, as also Facebook and Google, being scrutinized for the alleged meddling by Russia in the US elections through their platforms. Twitter reacted by purging many suspicious accounts, but more needs to be done. Twitter is more than 11 years old and has evolved at many levels over this time, from being a platform for status messages to becoming a personal marketing channel, and from being an outlet that anti-government protesters use to organize themselves to one which officialdom loves. All through, its ability to influence has been its currency, and it knows well that it can't afford to let trust issues destroy this. Telangana Legislative Council Chairman injured as Congress member hurls mic. Swami Gaud was sitting adjacent to Governor E.S.L. Narasimhan during the latter's address to the joint sitting of the legislature when he was injured. Telangana Legislative Council Chairman K. Swami Gaud suffered an injury over his right eye when Congress members flung the mic at him. Mr. Swami Gaud was sitting adjacent to Governor E.S.L. Narasimhan during the latter's address to the joint sitting of the legislature when he was injured. Congress members were raising slogans holding placards when one of the member K. Venkat Reddy uprooted the mic on the table of the opposition leader K. Jana Reddy and hurled it at the governor. The mic however hit the council chairman, who was listening to the governor's speech, on his right eye. He was rushed to the Sarojini Devi Eye Hospital where the doctors administered first aid him after examining whether the eye suffered any damage, according to information. Health Minister C. Lakshmi Reddy and senior leaders of the ruling TRS and BJP called on Mr. Swami Gaud at the hospital and condemned the Congress member's high-handed behavior. The anatomy of a panic attack. How I learned to deal with panic attacks with the simple yoga mudra. I'm sitting on my sister's bed one evening and we are watching reruns of New Girl. It's been a productive day. We've just come home from a fantastic workout and I've enjoyed a dinner with my family. When it happens, as usual, coming unannounced, with no real trigger, my chest feels tight and I find it hard to breathe. My heart starts to beat fast and I can't seem to keep up. The walls are closing in on me and I can't see clearly. There's an impending feeling of doom, and just when you think you are going to die, it disappears without a trace. I got divorced in 2015 and moved back home. I wasn't so stressed about my separation but more worried about the judgment from people around me. This is when the panic attacks began. They would creep up on me when I was least prepared. In cabs, in metros, on a lunch date with my mother, and on stage when I was making a presentation. I'm 29 and I've been to physicians and homeopaths, and had every possible test done, MRIs, courts, and even been to counseling sessions. There was nothing physically wrong with me. I have been healthy for as long as I can remember. I don't smoke or drink, I eat my greens, and I work out 4 to 5 times a week. I make sleep a priority and don't really have any vices besides chocolate, coffee, and well, worrying. What caused it? People said it was all in my head. In an attempt to say goodbye to those attacks, I cut out processed sugar and coffee. I swapped my high-intensity interval training for yoga, Pilates and brisk walking. I took more breaks at work to unwind. I was doing pretty well for the most part, but the stressful situation at work would bring about a flare-up. I am no stranger to yoga and meditation, but it wasn't until I visited Sri S. Bengaluru that I learnt about the pivotal role that mudras play in our health. Put simply, a mudra is a symbolic gesture that is usually performed with the hands. Used extensively in the practice of yoga and meditation, mudras force you to look inward. When I was deep into my yoga and meditation practice and the panic attacks would still come on without warning, my yoga teacher suggested I practice the Vayu Mudra. I found it easy to perform and it could be done sitting alone or while watching TV or when lying awake in bed. Although my teacher suggested that I sit in lotus pose while performing this mudra, I have experienced relief even when I'm not in the ideal position. Many Thapar Shastri, a yoga teacher in Delhi, who calls this mudra a yogic tranquilizer, says, "The science of mudra vigilant works by heightening the nerve impulses to release obstructions in the body. This mudra is especially useful for those who have panic disorders and are fearful, but also very effective for digestive distress." I was a skeptic, not imagining that just holding my fingers a certain way would help me with my anxiety, but I did try it every day for 2 months and worked my way up from 10 minutes to 15 minutes a day. It's my secret tool before presentations or awkward social situations, and even when I'm having a sleepless night. Dini forest fire, a panic call to collector and a flurry of activities that saved many lives. It was around 4:15 p.m. on Sunday that Pallavi Baldev, who had taken charge as Dini collector recently, received a call from a woman who was part of a trekking group, informing her that she had just escaped from a wildfire near Karangani and there were many stranded there. I do not know how she got my number. However, that call saved a lot of time since the information reaching me through other channels might have caused much delay, Miss Pallavi told The Hindu. In another happenstance, she was somewhere closer to Karangani at that time to attend an awareness campaign in a village on wildfire. Wildfire in that region, although not exactly at the same hill, has been an issue for more than a week. Forest department would douse them or they themselves would get doused and then it will start again at a different place. Hence, for the past 1 week, we had launched a series of activities to address the issue, Miss Pallavi added. Soon after she received a distress call, she and other officials made multiple calls to various departments to prepare for the situation. One of the first things we did was to ask all ambulances in the district to move towards the spot. We also took steps to move ambulances from neighboring districts. Though the forest department had received some information about the incident at that time, they did not have the information to grasp the magnitude of it. However, in less than an hour, forest department, along with fire and rescue services personnel and the police had started assembling at Karangani with necessary aid like flashlights, water and glucose, to venture into the spot on the rescue mission. Meanwhile, the state government headquarters was alerted and they immediately started coordinating and providing guidance on how to go about the rescue operations. A local body office, located closer to the spot, was soon turned into sort of a war room for coordinating the activities. I, along with few other officials, decided not to reach the spot and instead stay at the local body office since we had to be at a place with mobile coverage, landline phones and other facilities to coordinate the activities, she said. In the meantime, the Indian Air Force was also alerted, but they could not start the operations immediately since it had turned dark by then. We decided not to wait till the dawn and began rescue operations with the resources we had, she said. First group rescued within an hour. The people who ventured into the forest for the rescue included locals familiar with the terrain, forest department personnel, fire and rescue personnel, and predominantly the police. Within an hour after the rescue operations began, the first group of around 10 survivors, who managed to escape the fire with bruises and scratches, were brought to the government hospital at Bodhanayakanur. This group provided crucial information to the officials on the precise location where the incident took place and the number of people stranded there, following which the rescue operations began more focused and intensified. A WhatsApp group was started with all officials from various departments to share information, clarify details and also demand help from others. Our phones were constantly engaged and could not make a lot of calls. WhatsApp proved to be an efficient way for multi-way communication and coordination, Ms. Pallavi said. Lauding everyone involved in the rescue, Ms. Pallavi said that they risked their own safety to rescue others. Importantly, despite being a Sunday, as the news spread, a lot of employees at various levels from different departments started automatically turning up asking how they could contribute, she said. Throughout the night, survivors were brought downhill by the rescue teams, by carrying on their shoulders and makeshift stretchers. Though few survivors were initially taken to the government hospital in Bodie, as the nature of burn injuries proved to be severe, the others were taken straight to the Government Medical College Hospital in Dini. As and when each ambulance was leaving from the spot, we called up people at Dini Hospital and they were ready to receive the patients, Ms. Pallavi said. Two Congress MLAs expelled from Telangana Assembly. Two Congress MLAs were on Tuesday expelled from the Telangana Assembly while 11 others were suspended for the ongoing budget session for protesting during the governor's address to the joint sitting of legislature. The expelled Congress members are Kamatardi Venkat Reddy and Sampath Kumar. When the House met Tuesday, Speaker S. Madhusudhanachari expressed anguish over the incident that took place during the opening day of the budget session Monday, in which Legislative Council Chairman K. Swami Gaud suffered eye injury after being hit by an object thrown at the podium after Governor E.S.L. Narasimhan's customary address. Gaud said he was hit by the object thrown at the podium during the playing of national anthem after the address that was marred by sloganeering Congress members who accused the TRS government of being anti-farmer. Legislative Affairs Minister T. Harish Rao moved separate resolutions for the disciplinary action. The suspended members included Leader of the Opposition K. Jana Reddy. Two years after Cabinet OK, 4 rail lines for China border await funding. The Ministry of Defense has also raised the issue in the Central Permanent Coordination Framework, which has representatives of the Ministry of Railways. The government is unable to find an estimated Rs 2.1 lakh crore that is needed to construct 4 priority strategic railway lines on the China border. The final location survey, FLS, for these 4 railway lines is currently being undertaken by the Ministry of Railways after the Cabinet Committee on Security, CCS, gave its approval in December 2015. Government sources told the Indian Express that the matter has been discussed repeatedly by the Empowered Committee on Border Infrastructure, ECBI, chaired by the Cabinet Secretary, but no conclusive decision on the funding could be arrived at. The Ministry of Defense has also raised the issue in the Central Permanent Coordination Framework, which has representatives of the Ministry of Railways. The preliminary estimate of Rs 2.1 lakh crore for construction of the 4 strategic railway lines was provided by the Railways, and a steering committee under Secretary, Expenditure, in the Ministry of Finance was formed to look for ways to finance the construction. As per government sources, railways have declined to fund construction of these 4 lines, calling them commercially unviable, both in projected passenger and freight traffic. The Ministry of Defense had allocated Rs 344.84 crore in FY 2016-17 for the FLS of 4 strategic lines, the 378-kilometer Mismari-Tangatawang line, the 498-kilometer Bilaspur-Manali-Dlel line, the 227-kilometer Pasayat-Tazirapai line, and the 249-kilometer North Lakhimpur-Bamsada-Pitra line, after the CCS decided to take them up for construction on priority. Each of these lines will pass through high-altitude terrain of the Himalayas, with issues pertaining to stability, geology, construction, maintenance and repair which need a detailed study. Once constructed, the Bilaspur-Manali-Leh corridor will be the highest railway line in the world, surpassing China's Qinghai Tibet Railway. The construction costs are going to be very high because of the very difficult terrain in which these lines will be constructed. Government sources fear that the estimated costs will further shoot up after the FLS is completed in a couple of years, and a detailed project report presented by the railways. These 4 priority lines are part of the 14 strategic lines which were identified for development in November 2010, among the 28 railway lines in border areas approved in principle by the Defense Minister in January 2010. Preliminary survey for 10 of the 14 lines was completed, but no further work was done even though these rail lines were declared national projects. We will come to power in Telangana, says Gangaram Ahir. If we can beat Left Front in Tripura, this is no uphill task. Union Minister of State for Home Hansraj Gangaram Ahir said the BJP can come to power in Telangana when it had won as many as 22 states, including the northeastern states except Mizoram. We will sweep the elections in Karnataka and Telangana, he added. He was addressing a public meeting held to mark the valedictory of the 9-day Padayatra demanding reopening of Nizam sugar factory at Mutyampath in Jajatnil and Mumbajapalli in Medak district, on Sunday evening. The Left Front has remained in Kerala and that too has been developing cracks. Till recently, we did not have a single MLA in the northeastern states. When we could beat the Left Front that ruled Tripura for 5 consecutive terms, it will not be a difficult task to capture power in Telangana, he said. Lauding the part-time and leaders Yendila Laxminarayana and Dharmapuri Arvind, who led the Padayatra, he said it was not easy to travel 140 kilometers on foot covering several villages for the cause of workers. It was we who extended an assistance of 5,500 crore to reopen the Ramagundam fertilizer factory. We are also planning to revive the IDPL in Hyderabad and the jute mill at Nirmal that were closed down during the Congress rule. We will also help reopen the NSF units if the Chief Minister, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, comes forward with a proposal and meet the Prime Minister in Delhi, said the Union Minister. MLCM. Ramkanda Rao, former MLA Laxminarayana, party leaders Raghunandan Rao and Arvind also spoke. The JP District President P. Ganga Reddy presided over the meeting. When Mumbai's Azad Maidan turned a sea of red. Exhausted, Yat's hope promises will be kept. Mumbai's Azad Maidan turned a sea of red as over 15,000 farmers donning red caps sat through the day as a host of politicians and representatives of trade unions and student unions came and spoke, expressing solidarity. Most of the farmers were exhausted having walked from Mulund to Sion and then after a few hours rest walked on to reach South Mumbai early on Monday. While the vast majority sat in front of the stage, many slept on the ground, given that they had been walking overnight. As several citizens and volunteers came with boxes of biscuits and water, groups of farmers rushed to snack on it. Throughout the afternoon, the crowd was gearing itself for another agitation, if talks failed. There was no talk of backing down or going back. We have marched all the way here for a purpose and we will not leave before that, said Baban Rao Mali, a farmer from Nashik. Most were clueless about whether their demands will be met and what would be the future course of action. Most farmers took the political reactions with a pinch of salt. It is only when we agitate do they come. I don't even know what the government has promised this time, said Mohan Bagar, who has a loan of 76,000. When the farmer leaders addressed the crowd at the Maidan, they listened with rapt attention. Nandaland, 54, from El Jau said, "We invested so much time, sweat and blood in this rally. Although the government has not acted upon our demands, for now even the assurance feels good. I will hope and pray that they fulfill the assurance before I die." Loan waiver. Fellow farmer Gangaram Ahir, 48, said that he had a loan of 40,000 that he took during drought and was unable to repay ahead of his daughter's wedding. I saved money, but then the government announced a complete loan waiver last year, so I used all the money for my elder daughter's wedding, but due to the categories within loan waiver process, my case was rejected on the basis of the yield. I had no option but to join this march. I am glad that now the government will finally help us. Ambulances stationed. Ambulances were stationed at the venue to treat emergency cases. According to doctors on duty, over 150 required medical assistance. While some suffered low blood sugar levels and complained of nausea, others were treated for dehydration caused by walking in the blistering heat. Dr. Twashti Kabragad from the state-run JJ hospital said, "We have over 50 patients who fainted due to sunstroke. Not many people get critical, but the youngsters who have not been able to have solid food in these 5 days complained of nausea and giddiness the most. Most of the farmers are above the age of 50. The rise in temperature can give anybody a sunstroke. To avoid any such case, we are giving them more rehydration solution, ORS, after an interval of 2 to 3 hours. We are also giving them calcium capsules and vitamin capsules along with muscle-relaxing creams as they have been walking for many days now," said Dr. Gauri Shanbag, who was manning a medical post. Who is Sir William Henry Perkin? Perkin discovered the first synthetic dye, known as oddeven. The Google Doodle on Monday featured British chemist Sir William Henry Perkin on his 180th birth anniversary. Perkin discovered the first synthetic dye, known as oddeven. Born on March 12, 1838, in London, Perkin accidentally discovered the aniline purple dye when he was a student at the Royal College of Chemistry in London. He was studying under Wilhelm van Hofmann, a revered German chemist. Perkin was cleaning out dark mock from a beaker after a failed experiment, when he noticed that the substance left a vivid purple stain when diluted with alcohol, the official Google Doodle page pointed out. Perkin was trying to find a substitute for quinine, the only viable medical treatment for malaria in 1856, as demand was exceeding supply. However, his attempt at making quinine from aniline, an inexpensive coal tar waste, was unsuccessful. Instead, what resulted from the experiment was a dark substance. Perkin further probed, adding potassium dichromate and alcohol into the aniline in various stages, which resulted in a deep purple solution. He figured that the solution could be used to color fabric. He was quick to recognize the commercial possibility of the dye, originally named as Styrian purple. Deep in purple, the doodle captures the violent frenzied fashion trends of that era, as Perkin's discovery made the expensive color easily available to the masses. Purple clothing was in demand and in style then, but was available only to a certain section who could afford it. Besides, the fading color was a problem. Queen Victoria is said to have worn a mauve dyed gown to the Royal Exhibition of 1862. Following his success in manufacturing, Perkin was knighted on the 50th anniversary of the discovery in 1906. Perkin, known for giving birth to the modern chemical industry, did not stop with this discovery but went on researching to find other aniline dye colors and synthetic scents. He died on July 14, 1907.